Hey guys, and welcome back to Battlefront Updates and another Star Wars Battlefront 2 and Star Wars gaming news roundup, as I've got a bit of stuff to talk about, both about Jedi Fallen Order, Battlefront 2 and upcoming Star Wars games. So first of all, in Battlefront 2 news, there's not too much going on right now, but as most of you probably know, a patch dropped earlier this week with some bug fixes to the game, as there had been quite a lot of crashes on console after the October update. But other than that, we don't really know much about the future of the game, other than the fact that, of course, we're getting the Rise of Skywalker stuff in December. I'm still really curious to hear about if we're gonna be getting a continued support in 2020 or not. I hope so. The game is doing really well, so I see no reason to why they couldn't continue supporting the game. But more about that later when we're talking about some future Star Wars games and what they've been saying during some of their earnings calls recently. Also, just a reminder that the October community survey is out. That's basically a way for them to measure the, I guess, happiness of the community and what the community wants the most. So I will leave a link to that in the description below if you're interested in just sharing your thoughts with the development team. It takes no more than 5 minutes, and it definitely helps them out. It's been interesting to see how the kind of happiness of the community has gone up and down depending on how good the updates have been, which does make a lot of sense. Some other interesting news is that EA games are actually coming to Steam. This starts off with Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, something people have been asking for so many years, since Origin is not very good, to say the least. I gotta admit, Origin has become better over the last year or so I don't hate Origin anymore. It works, it does its job, but it still does have quite a lot of issues. Steam, however, is better, so I'm glad that they're adding Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order and other EA games to Steam, and they also mentioned EA Access. I'm not sure exactly how that's gonna work into Steam, and like if you have something on Origin already, can you get that on Steam as well? I'm not entirely sure if you have to like purchase the game twice, which would be a bit stupid, or if you can like sync it in between the platforms some way. In terms of Battlefront 2, Ben said we'll see what the future holds, and my guess would just be that something like a single player game, Jedi Fallen Order, is probably a lot easier to implement on Steam as compared to a multiplayer game where like the parties and everything like that has to work together. So they're probably starting with single player games and then moving on to old games like Battlefront 2. But still a very good step that I did not see coming at all, as they have been pushing Origin a lot and they just wanted to use Origin all the time. So overall, good news. And in Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order news, they did drop a launch trailer a couple of days ago that I would recommend checking out if you haven't already. The game releases only 2 weeks from now on November 15th. So for those of you who've been waiting for a Star Wars single player game, well, the wait is almost over. I don't actually know when the last Star Wars single player game dropped, but I know it was quite a long time ago, that's for sure. And then we'll move on to some interesting future of Star Wars games news, as during EA's earnings call, they didn't talk that much about Star Wars overall, but they did say that a new Star Wars game will come out before fiscal year 2022 ends, which means before the end of April 2022. So roughly a little bit more than 2.5 years from now. It could be earlier, because as far as I understand, they said it will come up before that date, not during that date. So, but that still means that the potential wait after Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is at least 2 years before the next Star Wars game. And I don't think that's Battlefront 3. A lot of people have been speculating that it could be a Battlefront 3, but we already know that Motive and some of the studios over there are working on some of the cancelled stuff. I don't actually know exactly what the situation is right there, because as you might remember, they took the stuff from Visceral's cancelled game and then they started working on that, and then that thing was cancelled as well, and most of it came as kind of like second-hand information that was leaked through Kotaku. So we don't really know what the stand is on those games right now and what Star Wars games are in the works, but I'm very hesitant, and I don't think it's Battlefront 3, but I would think it's more likely that it's a completely new Star Wars game. But what does this mean for Battlefront then? Well, I would at least hope that it means that Fallen Order will obviously come out, will be the big thing of November and this year, but it's a single player game, which means it'll probably get its big boost, a lot of sales, a lot of talk, but it will die down after a month or two, unless they release expansions, but I doubt they would do that. So then Battlefront is kind of the only active Star Wars game again, except for Star Wars The Old Republic, of course. So that makes me think that they maybe want to continue supporting Battlefront 2, and they want to start releasing stuff for Battlefront 2, well, synced into the new Star Wars stuff. Because although games might be getting a bit of a break, there's still Mandalorian, the Obi-Wan series, the Cassian series, and Clone Wars Season 7, and I don't see why they couldn't make stuff in Battlefront 2 to work with that, so both the series and the game would benefit from it. So I honestly think and hope, I mean, this is probably more wish than what I think, but I hope that they will continue supporting Battlefront 2 way into 2020, if not further, because if they are getting as good numbers as they seem to be getting, and maybe they can add some type of new monetization that makes them a little bit more money, without being like microtransactions and things that will piss people off, I think the game could live on for a long time, considering how well it seems to be doing now. And with no other Star Wars games coming out in a few years, why not focus on Battlefront 2? It has already went from being, well, probably the worst game EA has ever released to something that a lot of people now thoroughly enjoy and that has gotten a lot of positive reception. And I think if they continue even further, they can even turn around those people who still see the game as a pay-to-win cash grab, and eventually everyone will just remember Battlefront 2 for what an amazing comeback it did from being the worst game to being one of the best Star Wars games. Yeah, that's probably more of a hope than what I think could happen, but I just don't see them releasing Fallen Order, nothing to follow up on that, and then stopping the Battlefront 2 support and then being like, we got no active Star Wars games now for 2 years. That just does seem like a bad move from EA, to be honest. That's why I hope Battlefront 2 will continue to get support beyond 2019. But yeah, that's really all I've got to talk about today. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, may the Force be with you.